unanswered questions about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Number 1.
What is the meaning of Saturn and astronomy in this film? And
Number 2.
does the hitchhiker symbol and the rest of the Sawyer family connect to this as well? Leather Dick. One of the OGs to define the slasher genre. He came before all the heavy hitters. Before Jason, Michael, Freddy, Chucky, you name it. And I think what separates this film from the rest, even in modern day, is how raw, disturbing, and apocalyptic it feels. By no means do I feel like this franchise goes full-blown supernatural. But I also say that it doesn't really play nice with reality either. There are occult elements, cosmic interference, and downright bizarre things in this film, despite how grounded this slasher movie is. Sometimes it feels out of touch with any kind of realism within its own reality. So let's begin. Right out of the gate, this film has a reoccurring theme of horoscopes and astronomy. I'll let Pam do the talking here. The first horoscope is Franklin's.
Hey, listen to Franklin's horoscope. The upsetting persons around you. Disturbing and unpredictable day. The events in the world are not doing much either to cheer one up.
The next horoscope is Sally's.
Hey, Pam, read Sally. She's Capricorn.
Oh no, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. There are moments when we cannot believe that what is happening is really true. Pinch yourself and you may find out that it is.
Now pay very close attention to what these horoscopes say, because they foreshadow exactly what's going to happen in the film. Franklin pissing everybody off until the moment he gets what's coming to him.
Sally?
What now?
Sally having to pinch herself to see if what's going on is real or not mirrors the scene of her losing her mind at the dinner table later in the film. Now, astronomy in this film isn't just the opening dialogue of this film that's just forgot about. This is a reoccurring thing in this film. It goes over half the runtime.
Did you believe in all that stuff that Pam was telling about Saturn and retrograde and all that?
Even when the hitchhiker goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and they kick him out of the van, the blood he smears on the side of the vehicle greatly resembles the sign of Saturn turned upside down. I'll do a nice little comparison right here so that we can compare the two. Now, of course, this isn't a perfect representation, but take in mind that the hitchhiker was chasing a speeding van and didn't exactly have time to finish his arts and crafts project. But I do believe the intent is there.
Looks like he's trying to write something.
You write something on the van?
Reversed imagery in tarot generally means bad consequences or bad omens. Just like Pam reading the horoscopes, foreshadowing what's about to happen. Going back to Pam, she tells us why this matters. She says that Saturn is in retrograde.
When malefic planets are in retrograde and Saturn's malefic, okay, their malefice is increased.
Malefic is astrology language for something dark and destructive gaining power. Again, foreshadowing events that are about to come. From the moment this friend group hit the road, everything is under a bigger influence than just this cannibalistic family with a chainsaw. The horoscopes predict it. The hitchhiker marks him with it. Saturn looms over this entire film like a curse that was set in motion before they ever pulled up to the Sawyer house. Whether you look at this literal or metaphorical, the Sawyers are connected to whatever cosmic rot Saturn represents in this film. The hitchhiker carries it in his symbol. Leatherface carries it in his violence. The cook carries it in his control. And the grandfather, sitting up there barely alive, carries it just by existing as the patriarch of whatever this bloodline really is. And we're going to talk about Grandpa later in the video. That's probably the most interesting part. I'm going to save that for number 9 and 10. But all of this dialogue about Saturn and astronomy and the horoscopes is one of the very few instances in horror where one of the characters foreshadow everything that's just about to happen in the film. Pam reading these horoscopes and telling us about Saturn sums up the whole film. I mean, that's truly amazing. It's very clever writing. Because the characters' fates are caused by their own actions. It's not Leatherface hunting them, but rather intruding upon his house, his domain, that causes their deaths. That's why Leatherface kind of freaks out when he kills Jerry, because he's like, what the hell's going on? Why are all these people coming into my house? He's freaking out. But it's also possible they was inclined to do these actions by factors outside of their control. Because in this universe, their world is very apocalyptic. If you pay attention to the opening news reports, you can see that the world is going to absolute shit. There's some very interesting information here if you just take the time to pause and read. And there is so much more from the news reports. But unfortunately, most of it you can't make out. So was it destiny? Was it the alignment of the planets? Or was it the curse put upon them by this cosmic apocalypse this film portrays in this ambience? Now, the hitchhiker might have marked that van purposely because the cook does see the blood, and maybe that's what sent them to their deaths. So was it cosmic interference that caused this? Or just very bad luck and happenstance? Me personally, since the dialogue is so astronomy and Saturn heavy, I don't think it's fair to discount it so much. Say it once, you keep saying it, it means something. But that's for you to decide.
Number 3.
What is the connection between the Franklin place and the Sawyer family? And
Number 4.
how does the hitchhiker or the cook factor into all of this? I'm genuinely surprised more people don't discuss this. So the road trip this friend group is taking is to see if their loved ones' graves have been dug up or not, which ties into the news narration in that very gross opening at the cemetery with the corpses. So while they're there, Sally and Franklin decide they're going back to their grandparents' old property. This is their family's land.
Oh, my father owns it.
And that's your daddy's place, huh?
Naturally, they would know this place very well. It's been most likely 10 years, give or take, since they've been here. Sally says she used to come here as a kid, up until the time she was 8 years old, and even had her own bedroom.
This was my room, 8 years old. Taught me to sleep when I was a little kid.
So this territory isn't unfamiliar. They have a history here, a childhood, they know it very well. When Kirk and Pam split off from the group, they followed this trail down to the waterhole to swim. A trail that Franklin points them to, by the way.
Didn't you say there's a swimming hole around here?
Yeah. There used to be a trail down between those two old sheds.
And that trail leads them directly to the Sawyer house, walking distance from the Franklin property. And none of these characters seem to realize, especially Sally and Franklin, that the Sawyer family is quite literally their next door neighbor. Now you can argue there was kids last time they was here, because there was, and maybe they never wandered off far. Sure, I won't suspend that belief just yet. But surely they remember this gas station, which is also walking distance from the house. Surely they remember this Sawyer residence. Franklin points them in that direction. You can see the Sawyer house from that swimming hole. You know what I mean? It's just common sense at this point. Franklin knows this place very well, down to the house directions and how to get there.
Two-story rock house and sitting up on a hill. I think you have to turn on that road back there.
He knows the town. He knows the slaughterhouse where his uncle worked at.
Hey, we got an uncle that works at one of those places outside of Fort Worth.
He knows where his grandfather used to sell his cattle.
That's the old slaughterhouse. That's where Grandpa used to sell his cattle.
You're telling me that Franklin doesn't remember, Sally either? That this family lived right next door to them? Walking distance? They don't remember the house? The gas station? What? Anyway, let's talk about the cook. Now, it is possible that the Sawyer family didn't inhabit the house at the same time the grandparents were alive. We also don't even know for sure that the Sawyers actually owned that property. Maybe they killed the previous residents and just took over. With everything this fucked up family does, it really doesn't surprise me much. A lot can happen when you're absent for over a decade. But then again, that's getting into continuity, whatever continuity or timeline you prefer, because most of the sequels say that they have been here for a very, very long time, for generations. So if your headcanon is that they've been here that long, I don't see how Sally and Franklin didn't know about this family. They grew up here. Almost every single sequel goes back decades. But even if we look at this as a standalone film, The Hitchhiker tells us that the grandpa worked there, his brother worked there.
My brother worked there. My grandfather, too.
And considering how fucking old that dust bucket is, talking about grandpa, it's probably been a while since he worked at the slaughterhouse. If you haven't noticed, grandpa is old as shit. He can't even take a piss on his own, much less swing a fucking hammer anymore. So the Sawyer family had to have been there for more than a decade. I don't know, it's confusing. Let's get into the meat of it now. Now there's an obvious reason why the cook tries to detour them from going back to their childhood home.
You boys don't want to go mess around no old house. Those things is dangerous. You're liable to get hurt. I got some good barbecue here. Why don't you fellas stick around here a while? Them girls, they don't want to go messing around no old house. Best you stick around here.
And when Franklin sees those bone decorations, you can recognize that handiwork anywhere. So there's no doubt that the hitchhiker or the rest of the family have been there at least once or twice. They're starting to decorate the place. Considering Franklin's constant paranoia about the hitchhiker.
You think that guy's just trying to scare us by, blowing up my picture like that? Hey, you don't think that guy'd try and follow us, do you? You don't think it means anything? I bet it's about me. He couldn't find us anyway. You don't think that guy'd try and follow us, do you?
It's pretty ironic that this is a telltale sign that this big world can be pretty small sometimes. He's looking directly at the artwork of the person he's running from, physically and mentally. Maybe that's part of the cosmic interference we was talking about earlier. This was destined to happen. So you've got Sally and Franklin's childhood home sitting right next to a house full of cannibals. And Sally and Franklin know nothing about the Sawyer house or the family. Okay. A gas station owner who definitely knows more than he lets on tries to detour them from going there. And a trail between the two properties that might as well be a welcome mat to death. So what's the connection there? There's got to be something. Let me know down in the comments.
Number 5.
Did you know that there is 8 different versions of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I gotta give credit to Films at Home for bringing this to my attention. This comes from Dark Sky Films Chain Reactions, and they take the word documentary to a whole new level. They showcase versions of the films listed here, which documents a rich history of the release formats of this film. I've watched some of these, and man, are they an entirely different ride. So if you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, check it out. This one is a must-have. Number 6. Rapid fire round. The cook doesn't have gas for his customers, but sure has plenty of gas to run these generators with these 55-gallon drums. That's where the gas is going. I bet you didn't know Leatherface likes to rock the fuck out. Have you ever noticed after Leatherface kills Pam, he wears her bracelet? Pretty cool. Listen to this clip very closely. Did you know that 9 Inch Nails sampled this for their song Reptile? Pretty woman walking down the street.
Number 7.
What's the story with Grandma Sawyer? And
Number 8.
does she alone expand the universe of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre into other franchises? Not a whole lot is known about Grandma Sawyer, other than she makes an appearance in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, both towards the climax of each film. Her screen time is minimal, almost non-existent. Her backstory is just a blank slate, there's nothing there. But that doesn't mean that she's not important, considering who she's married to. This is Grandpa's wife, the motherfucking OG.
You always said he's the best. Grandpa's the best killer there ever was.
This is the matriarch of a family that's been operating for over a century. The family holds her very dear. Of course, this is Grandma. So dear that in the sequel, they build an entire shrine for her. But the most interesting thing about Grandma Sawyer takes place outside of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Grandma Sawyer makes an appearance in the 1981 The Howling film, a completely separate werewolf film within its own mythology and its own rules. It's a pretty cool blink and you miss it moment. If you watch that film, most people don't even know what happened, but it happened. So the question remains, does the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Howling share a universe? Could this cosmic interference and borderline supernatural elements that run through the Texas Chainsaw Massacre connect with a totally different werewolf mythology and straight up supernatural horror that defines The Howling? You probably know this by now, but the whole point of this series, the 10 Things series, is not to break the fourth wall. That's the entire fun of what we do here. Because in this film's universe, there are no filmmakers. There are no actors. There are no writers. In this story's universe, everything is real. Everything that is happening is happening. So when Grandma crosses over into The Howling, she's now a character existing in 2 seemingly separate supernatural universes at the same time. And if Grandma exists in both worlds, maybe this cosmic interference can operate under the same supernatural structure. Maybe Saturn's malefic influence doesn't just affect Texas. Now, I'm not saying that Leatherface is going to be fighting fucking werewolves in the future. I hope not, God. But next is my number 9 and 10, which enters a very big gray area of supernatural. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So do werewolves and blood-drinking, cannibalistic families belong in the same universe? Could it operate under the supernatural cosmic umbrella? Saturn, the moon, Twilight shit? But regardless, Grandma Sawyer is the link between these 2 franchises. We just can't ignore that it didn't happen, because it did.
Number 9.
Finally, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's universe supernatural? And
Number 10.
is Grandpa the link to all of it? I gotta give credit to Just Spitballing for bringing this to my attention in the Discord. Grandpa, the old fucker. I mean super old. At this age, he can't even get up with Viagra if he overdosed on the entire fucking bottle. In this film, he is 124 years old. 124! That already breaks the Guinness World Record of the longest living person. And then he went on to live for another 13 years. 13! Dog, that's 137 years old. If you don't think this film has some room for supernatural by now, you need your damn head checked. Grandpa deserved his own origin story in some of these sequels and prequels. Maybe not full blown, like the whole film's not about him, but I know this dust bucket has some stories. But what's interesting about Grandpa, besides the obvious, is that he seems to be a gentleman at heart. He's actually nice enough to wave at Sally when she's losing her fucking shit at the dinner table. But also, I noticed something mighty interesting about this infamous dinner scene. Everyone has a plate to eat. The cook, the hitchhiker, Leather Dick, and hell, they even gave Sally a plate. But can you guess the one person they didn't give a plate to? Grandpa. Now, there are some instances of Leatherface feeding him some meat. Whether that's real meat or human meat, I mean, we can weigh the scale on that, it really doesn't matter. I think we know which one. But his main source of nutrition is blood. And that carried on to be the #1 staple of Grandpa. This also links with what Franklin said at the beginning.
I think we just picked up Dracula.
And what he said about the Sawyer family.
Whole family of Draculas.
So I do agree with just spitballing in a sense. I wouldn't consider Grandpa a vampire, but there is definitely some hint of some supernatural elements here. You know what's funny? Like, people are quick to judge Michael Myers coming back to haunt Haddonfield in his 60s saying he's too old. But don't question this old fucker who is literally over twice his age and lived to be 137 years old by just living off of humans' blood. And he died in the sequel by being blown up by a grenade. He didn't even die of natural causes. So you're telling me that this pile of skin dust shitting his pants, which is nearly a century and a half years old, only surviving off of human blood, can't be supernatural? Yeah, okay, buddy. You keep on keeping on with your denial. There's something going on here. Whether that be cosmic interference, them chasing some kind of key to immortality, what have you. I really love this film. It feels really grounded, but there is also some very occult, cosmic, and supernatural things going on. There's no doubt. But that's going to wrap this video up, guys. Thank you so much for taking part of your day to kick it with me. I still don't know if I'm going to do the rest of these.